Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode here at the Pioneers of Bitcoin podcast. My name is RK, and today I would like to welcome you to a very, very long-awaited episode because the last time we streamed was, I believe, in March of this year, and I want to explain why and what we've been working on in this time and what is going to be the future of this channel going forward. So let me start by saying that, as you know, we operate in the UAE, and the reason for us not being very active with our streams is simply because of the disruptions we had in our personal lives. We had to go back to Europe and hence not be here at my office in the studio, and it was very difficult to focus on delivering content online, which does not mean that the business was affected in any way, since we're a remote company and our services are purely remote. This had no effect, absolutely no effect on our business. However, it has had some effect on our availability to produce quality content online. So, however, going forward, I think now that we're back, and I know things are escalating again in the region, but we will continue or try to continue to produce high quality content with guests. And there's a lot of things going on in Bitcoin right now, and I thought it would be a very, very good time to record something today, give you an update what we've been up to, what we've been working on, but also talk about what's coming in the near future when it comes to Bitcoin and what we can expect. I admit I was wrong when I talked about the Bitcoin price at around 80,000. I believed this was it. We would move back up, but this didn't happen. And here we are in the bear market, and that's how it goes. Nobody expected things to unfold the way they unfolded in terms of the war, in terms of everything. Yeah, everything has been quite crazy going on. Okay. But anyway, so before we talk about anything else and the upcoming BIP 110 debate and the fork that we expect to see in Bitcoin, I would like to explain or tell you what we've been working on in the background in 21st Capital, okay? So I've been working very hard with our dev team to build something really great on our website. I would highly encourage you to play around with it just to see if you can give us some feedback, how you like it, and how you think we could maybe improve it. So I hope you can see my screen now. I've not been using this tool for a while, so I had to get back to it. I think now it's recording the screen I wanted to share with you. So I wanted to just briefly go through what we've been doing on our website in the past few months. As you can see, the website has been completely revamped and redesigned, and a tool that we have built that will make the onboarding process at 21st Capital much easier is this configurator. Okay, so this configurator is basically built to make the selection of the right vault for the user, which is you, much easier. So depending on what kind of security you want, what kind of protections you want, you can go through this configurator and find out which configuration is the best for you before setting anything up yet. Okay, so this is the advantage, because we had the experience that we get a lot of people who approach us and they just don't know what kind of setup is best for them. So we thought, why don't we build a tool that works similar to a car configurator, that before you actually purchase anything, or before you actually commit to anything, you can go through a configurator and know the benefits and know what kind of setup is best for you before you actually book any form of onboarding or any form of actual setup with your hardware wallets. And depending on what you need, you can select anything that, for example, I'm going to select here 1 vault. If you're an individual, you just are looking for a single vault, and not maybe if you have a sibling or if you have a family member, you can actually go through the configurator for 2 vaults or even 3 vaults if you want. But I'm going to pick 1 here, and I'm just going to go for a multi-sig, which is the standard if you want the highest amount of security. And as you can see on the right side, it's going to show you the security features depending on what you select. Okay, so if I select a single sig, it will not be theft proof, it will not be loss proof, it will not be inheritance proof, and it will not be harder to access and extremely secure. Okay, but as soon as I select the 2 of 3, a few of the security features will enable. And as you go through the configurator, more and more features will start to enable here on the right side of the page. Okay, so if I continue, it's going to ask you for the support that you want from our site. If you want a full support every time you need us, every time you need a co-signing service, and you don't want to pay anything extra, you can go for the elite. But if you say, no, I actually don't need 21st Capital every time I want to send Bitcoin, or if I want to use the vault, I barely need any ongoing support, then you can obviously select the per issue package, which is basically you pay as you go. Okay, that's the idea behind this one. So I'm going to select this one for now. And the next question is going to ask you, because you chose a 2 of 3, it's going to ask you, hey, what kind of, or how many hardware wallets do you own? Do you have any hardware wallets already? Because many people already have their own hardware wallets and they want to reuse those hardware wallets with their new setup with us. Okay, so you can select maybe 2 hardware wallets that you already own, and you can say use my existing hardware wallets, and then you need to pick the model that you have. Let's say you have an MK4 and a Cold Card Q. Then you can press continue, and then you can say, yes, I want inheritance included, and I have 2 heirs, and I want them to have also their hardware wallets involved. Okay, so do they have an existing hardware wallet, or do you want to buy a new hardware wallet for your heirs? Okay, this is the question that we ask here, because some people want their heirs to be part of the setup, and some of them don't want them to actually hold any key. They just want the heirs to be part of the protocol, the off-chain protocol, but not the on-chain protocol. So the difference between the two is very important. The on-chain protocol is basically the protocol on the Bitcoin blockchain. So if you want your heir to hold a key on-chain, you need to give them a hardware wallet, or they need to have an existing hardware wallet. But if you don't want that, and you just want them to be part of your off-chain protocol, which we also do with you at the end of the onboarding, then you select assisted by 21st Capital. Basically what you're saying here is, my heir doesn't have his own hardware wallet, but if something happens to me and my heir contacts you, please assist them. Okay, this is basically what you're saying here. But we're gonna choose this one because this is pretty cool, because the way we use the vault will enable you to be able to give your heirs a hardware wallet. So let's say your heir is an adult, he understands Bitcoin, he's a Bitcoiner, and he has an MK5. Okay, so then you can choose the time lock for that person. We're gonna pick, the standard we choose is usually 12 months. Okay, you can go lower obviously, but I would recommend going for 9 to 12 months, somewhere between there. And then you say, maybe the second heir doesn't need a hardware wallet, he doesn't understand Bitcoin, I just want them to be part of the protocol but not have a key. Okay, so you can leave that on the first option, which is assisted by 21st Capital. Okay, so then you press on continue, And then, this is interesting, you can add the rescue key here. This is the key that basically activates if you lose both of your keys, okay? And your heirs also lose their keys. So if everybody loses all of their keys, this is what you want to select. If you want an insurance-like key protection on the vault, no matter what happens, that we can come at your rescue, you can select the rescue, okay? And if you do that, you will see on the right corner that almost everything is enabled. Almost every security feature is enabled, okay? You can ignore the extremely secure option. That's for very, very high level setups for people who don't want to be even able to access their funds on their own. We suggest doing a 2 of 2 there with additional layers, but I'm not going to dive into that in this video. So this is a pretty standard setup that we usually do with customers. So if I go back and show you what we selected, so it's a 2 of 3 with 2 cold cards, 2 heirs, 1 heir with a hardware wallet, 1 without, and including the rescue key after 15 months. So that's pretty much a standard at 21st Capital. So if I continue, I have basically the summary of everything that I want. I still haven't paid anything. I still have not committed to anything, but I know what is best for my setup. And here you can decide either to go ahead. You can see the pricing and all of the benefits on the right side. And you can see the security features on the right side. And you can continue either booking the onboarding and going for it, and you're only going to pay for the onboarding. You're not going to pay for the subscription yet. You pay for the subscription after the onboarding is finished, okay? So you can choose to go for the onboarding. If you're not ready yet and you want to still think about it for whatever reason, you can also download this configuration and just think about it. Then you have this beautiful PDF that you can save, and you also receive an email where you can come back to this place and book the onboarding anytime you're ready. Okay, so this is what we've been working on for quite a while. It was really it looks very simple, but it was very hard to actually do this, to make it look simple for you. Feel free to go through it. If you have suggestions, please put it down in the comments, and we're gonna definitely listen to everything you have to suggest. Okay, that's pretty much it for the configuration on the website. So let's talk about something else that is a heated discussion right now. If you remember, we've been covering this topic for quite a while, and it's about this BIP 110 topic that a lot of people have been screaming for. And so basically, to summarize everything once again, there's a group of developers in Bitcoin who want to have a version of Bitcoin that does not allow any form of arbitrary data into the blockchain, which sounds great, but, and this is my opinion now, the implementation and proposal of it is not really great. And this is where the problem starts, okay? So I don't think anybody in Bitcoin wants to have spam on chain. Nobody does. But the question of, even if we are able to solve it, that's probably not the way we should do it, because this proposal is basically very restrictive, and it's going to most likely cause a chain split, okay, which is quite dangerous. If you are on the wrong chain in Bitcoin, you might actually end up losing your money. Okay, so this is very important, and it's actually going to happen pretty soon. By the way, I'm going to have very interesting guests on the pod probably next week to talk about this in more detail. If you're interested, definitely tune in for the next episode. We're going to talk about this in more detail. because it's happening very soon. It's going to activate on August 7th, and it's very trivial, but some people are worried because they're not sure which side is going to win, and if the activation starts, what's going to happen to their money, and so on and so forth. So I want to cover this in detail, especially for people who have setups with us or doing self-custody. That's quite important, okay? So 7th of August, this fork is going to enforce itself, and it's probably going to cause a chain split, okay? So what does that mean? It means that if you are running a Bitcoin node with this version, BIP 110, and you try to move your coins during this period when the activation happens, you actually might lose your funds, okay? That's very, very important. If you are on the wrong chain with your node, that's the consequence. However, if you're running the right chain or the correct chain where the majority agrees on, then everything is fine and everything should be fine. I'm going to dive into some of the statistics so you can have a better picture what's likely going to happen and what is unlikely going to happen. So if you, I have a graph here from one of our friends here in Dubai. He built this graph which basically shows the signaling blocks for this change in Bitcoin. Okay, so let me explain what that means. Basically, in Bitcoin, whenever there is a change, and this has been the case for every change, it was the case for the block size wars, it was the case for the taproot change, and obviously for Segwit, there is a period where any form of change waits for miners to signal whether they actually like and will follow this change or they will not follow this change. Okay, and here on this graph you can see the blocks. Okay, so there's red blocks and there is green blocks. Interestingly, the ratio is drastic. Like the green blocks are almost non-existent. There is less than 1% of green blocks here, which is a very, very bad sign for the green blocks, okay? So, and the red blocks are the majority, obviously. And as you can see here, the red blocks are not signaling BIP 110, and the green blocks are signaling for BIP 110. What does that mean? It means that more than 99% of all miners are not for this change. They will not go for it. They're saying no to this change, basically. So the vast majority of miners are currently signaling in the past 2 weeks, and that can obviously change, but I don't think so because this is just another 2 weeks away. I don't think that's going to change drastically. And if we were like at 30% or 40%, I would say, okay, maybe there's a chance it's going to go higher than 50, but this is ridiculous, honestly. This is less than 1%. And then there is this debate whether they are going to be forced to follow the nodes, but even the nodes are not in majority signaling this change. So I don't see any chance, to be honest, that this change is going to make it. But there's still people who believe and are saying that they do think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not going to run BIP 110. I'm not going to have my node follow this chain because I don't want to, and it's a very selfish act, to be honest. I just don't, even if I don't want spam on chain, I don't want to be on the wrong side of things. Okay, so I'm going to follow the majority and I'm not going to run this on my node. No, I say no as well. You can decide for yourself. I told you about the risks. but this is my opinion. This is what I'm doing. Let's go on. The proponents and people who are actually for this change are majorly, you can say, two people. It's Mechanic, Bitcoin dev that has been working in Bitcoin for quite a long time, and Luke, which has been active in the space for a long time, more than 10 years. And they both work at Ocean Mining, which is basically a Bitcoin mining pool company. And this is a very interesting post that I would like to share with you, just for you to know what's happening even among the crowd themselves. That is actually ridiculous how this is going, and I don't see any chance this thing is gonna make it. So this guy Jason, he is basically the the VP, okay, the VP development and engineering of Ocean Mining. Okay, so quite a high position in Ocean. And he wrote this article, which is, in my opinion, a really good article, by the way. Very well done, very neutral. He's trying to be very neutral. He's not saying that he is for or he's against this change. He's being very rational, and he goes through the facts. And the facts are, and you can go and check this out. We can link this into the description of the video, so you can go and read this for yourself. He's being very rational, and he is arguing that there is absolutely no evidence that this change is going to make it, because there is no support, no majority support for it, and it's a clear minority support. It's below 1% support for it, and the probability of this change to make it is almost zero. That's basically the message of his article. He's not saying he's against it. He's not saying he's for it. He's just saying the truth and facts with facts. And yeah, that's what he's doing. And guess what the BIP 110 people say to this? So this guy, Mechanic, is commenting underneath his article. This is a long list of strawman positions written in a historical, condescending manner, so I'll decline any attempt to have a constructive public conversation about it. I doubt it would go any better than the ones we've had in private. So this guy is also working in the same company. They're colleagues, okay? These guys are colleagues. This is actually funny. This is actually really funny that this is happening publicly. They are arguing among each other online, in the public, on Twitter. Super entertaining to see, especially if you don't follow them. And he has not even read the article. You can tell by his comment. It's he's not being rational. He's responding in a very emotional way. And you can go and read this by yourself. If you go to the link, you can see the type of comment that he has made. And yeah, and he's I mean, Jason is responding to him, doesn't read the post, walks in, strawman, condescending, historical, posts some irrelevant information unrelated to the content, walks out. I welcome discussion on the merits of anything in my post. If there is anything actually incorrect, I'm happy to post a correction. Simply hand waving it away as if it's nonsense is kind of pointless and honestly a bit revealing. Okay, I agree completely. It is revealing. And let's not talk about the other people in this crowd. I mean, I mean, for myself, to be honest, I was also undecided which side is having a valid argument, which side doesn't. But by this time, I mean, if you want to have anything changed in Bitcoin, you need to give it way more time. You need to have many more people to be for it before you actually not only propose it, but also try to implement it. And this thing was proposed maybe 6 months ago. And in Bitcoin, if you want to have a change, SegWit took more than 2 years to be implemented. Taproot was an idea that took, I think, more than 4 years to be implemented. So I might be wrong with these numbers, but a much, much, much longer time. Things in Bitcoin are not like in other chains. They're very, very slow, extremely slow. And this crowd has used the argument, which some of it sounds solid and it is also valid. But you can have the right arguments that we shouldn't have arbitrary data on Bitcoin and we should stop spam, which, by the way, is a problem more than 10 years old. This is not a new problem. This is a very old problem. And then you propose a change and you want to rush it into implementation within 6 months. That's not going to happen, not in Bitcoin. You can do this on Ethereum. You can do this in other chains where everything is much more centralized. It's almost like hard forked into existence by a few team members. That's how Ethereum has a hard fork almost every 6 months, okay? So there is absolutely no decentralization in these chains. So if you try to do this on Bitcoin, however, what you would end up with is something like this. And if you end up with something like this, it means that you're going to fork and you're going to have fun having your own version that nobody follows. And you have, just like in the block size wars, where we had the fight between the big blockers and small blockers, where the big blockers lost the fight and they had to create their own version, Bitcoin Cash, and later on other forks like Bitcoin Satoshi Vision and so on and so forth were created. And what you end up with is obviously another coin that goes to zero, basically. That's how things turn out for every Bitcoin. I'm just trying to show you what I mean. So BCH, BTC, just for you to see everything for yourself. So this is, for example, the last fork we had many years ago, 2018. And if you look at the chart, this is what Bitcoin Cash has been doing against Bitcoin. Yeah, it has gone basically to zero. That's what it has done. It has gone from 0.18 Bitcoin in January 2018. That's when the fork happened. So it's been, what's that? 2 + 6. It's 8 years ever since this fork happened. And it has gone down to zero, basically. It's down, what is this? It's down, let's be exact. It's down 98%. Okay, so if you are on the wrong chain and you follow the wrong chain, that is the consequence. That is the consequence. So be careful out there. Run your own node, but make sure you're on the right version of the node you're running. And just be careful out there. And doing self-custody and probably doing nothing during this period, especially in 2 weeks on August 7th, when this activation happens, trying to avoid unnecessary transactions during that time is probably the best thing you can do. Just not doing anything. Even if you're on the wrong chain, if you don't transact during that period, it's going to be fine, because you can always switch to the right version and have still access to everything. It's just risky if you're on the wrong chain and you broadcast or send some money out, and that can cause issues, okay? But if you don't have any urgent transactions, I urge you to not transact during this period, which is August 7th, until we see how this unfolds. I mean, it's pretty clear how this is going to unfold. With a 99% chance nothing's going to happen. It's going to be a nothing burger, and they will end up with their own version of Bitcoin. And yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. Anyways, I want to end the stream today by saying thank you for listening and thank you for watching.